flag is now in the air, signaling that everything is ready for the starting procedure to begin. He surprised everybody and he goes into the race lead. Fantastic start. So, there's a big crash. Around the outside and he takes the second place.
Hello again and welcome to Austria. Here we are on the Salzburgring near Salzburg on this beautiful racing facility opened in 1969, and we are just about to start the first race of the third weekend of the 2025 Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship season. Hi, my name is CEZ Championship, and again I'm ready to provide you with the commentary of the whole race weekend here on Salzburgring. As I said, the race weekend number 3 this season, and we are on Salzburgring. This is the place where the last year's championship has been decided, and it was a great title fight between the two drivers, Oskar Wurz and Kirill Kutskov. After all, it was Oskar Wurz who was crowned the 2024 champion. Who is going to be the 2025 champion? That's the question which is yet to be answered. Actually, we have our championship leader on pole position for the first race of the weekend here on Salzburgring. The Argentinian driver Gino Trappa will be starting the race from the first place, as you can see on the right hand side of your screen. And again, it's a pole position not only for Gino Trappa but also for dominant racing team F4 Motorsport from Switzerland. And actually we have top 4 places on the grid occupied by F4 Motorsport drivers. It is Gino Trappa, as I said, the Argentinian racer, the championship leader, starting from the pole position to the first race of the weekend of the Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship here on Salzburgring. From P2, it is the Czech driver, or it will be the Czech driver who is going to start the race from the second place. Max Karhan takes the second place, or took the second place in the qualifying for the first race. So very good job by the Czech driver, who is being currently in P3 in the championship standings with 67 points to his name. In P3 it is another F4 Motorsport driver, Nicolas Cortés, who also did a really good job in the qualifying, and he will be fighting for his first podium of the season here on Salzburgring, because so far Nicolas Cortés has taken 5 points finishes out of 6 races. He was twice in 7th place during the first race weekend on Red Bull Ring. Then he finished the weekend with P6, and then we had another race weekend on Red Bull Ring, another 3 races, and Nicolas Cortés took P15 and double P6. So this is a great chance for Mexican driver to finish on a podium for the first time this year. So we are really curious about his performance. And from P4 it will be another, the 4th F4 Motorsport driver, Javier Herrera. So it is Javier Herrera starting the race from P4, and it is fellow Mexican driver actually being in P10 in the championship standings at the moment. So these are the top 4 drivers on the grid for the first race here on Salzburgring. In total we do have 16 cars on the grid, so again very strong grid of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship. And here we are in the formation lap, just ahead the first race of the weekend here on Salzburg. And oh no, we have one car standing on the grid, so we do have yellow flags even before the race starts. So what a disaster for one of the drivers here. I can't see the number actually, but I believe it could be Matilda Patz, the German female driver, because Matilda Patz was in B6 on the starting grid, and I believe we saw a car in a 6th place standing on a grid, so most likely that was the German driver Matilda Patz. What a great shame for the German female racer. She is actually in really good shape at the moment because she took 2nd place in the final race of the previous race weekend on Red Bull Ring. So what a shame for Matilda Patz, most likely, that she won't be able to fight for the podium again this time. But anyway, we have another 2 races of Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship tomorrow, so there will be another 2 chances for all the drivers. But of course, this is hugely disappointing for all the drivers being not able to start the race. So we are getting ready for the first race of the weekend here on Salzburgring. Still beautiful weather, clear sky, high temperatures, almost summer conditions here in Austria, in the Salzburger land. And the grid is being formed for the first race. Gino Trappa will be starting the race from pole position. Max Karhan in P2. That's the first row on the starting grid. Behind them in row number 2, it is Nicolas Cortez next to Javier Herrera in P4. In row 3, it is Bennett Gaspar, the Hungarian racer racing for Křenek Motorsport. In P5, next to him, it is Matilda Patz, or it was Matilda Patz, eventually in P6, but I believe she will not be able to start the race. As you can see, empty spot on the grid, and yes, this is the spot originally reserved for Matilda Patz, so great shame for the German driver. She was just about to start the race from P number 6, but she is back in the pit lane, so what a great shame for the German driver. But let's go racing for the first time here on Salzburgring. The lights are out, and the first race of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone here on Salzburgring is underway. And I believe it was a great start by Gino Trappa, the Argentinian championship leader. And yes, we can see top 4 occupied by 4 Jensen Motorsport cars. Great start done by the Argentinian. Gino Trappa is leading the way into the first lap of the race. Again, we do have 25 minutes of racing ahead of us, so sit back and enjoy the great show here on Salzburgring. Last year we visited Salzburgring a bit later. It was at the end of September for the season final, but this time the season is in the halfway. This is the 3rd race weekend out of 6 and the final Austrian round of the 2025 Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship season. First 2 rounds were held on Red Bull Ring. This time we are on Salzburgring, but next time we will be in the Czech Republic racing on Most Circuit. Then it will be the 5th round in Slovakia on Slovakia Ring, and the season final will be again in the Czech Republic. We will be racing in Brno for the championship title. But let's get focused on this race. Gino Trappa is leading the way, so great start by the young and talented Argentinian. Trappa is in the lead just ahead of Max Karhan, so it is currently 2nd place for the Czech driver racing for Jensen Motorsport, and another Jensen Motorsport car is being driven at the moment by Nicolas Cortez in P3, Javier Herrera in P4. So still, we do have the top 4 occupied by Jensen Motorsport racers only. What a dominant showcase by the Swiss team, but let's get focused on the battle here. We are following the fight for P3, but there was also a fight for P1. As you can see, Max Karhan is getting closer and closer to the race leader, Gino Trappa. So maybe we're gonna see a fight for the first place here on the main straight of Salzburgring. 4.2 kilometers long racetrack, hidden in an alpine valley. Very nice racing facility, believe me, but let's wait and see what Max Karhan is hiding in his pocket. There can be some unpleasant surprise for Gino Trappa, for the race leader, because last time around Max Karhan set the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:23.026, great pace and great driving by Max Karhan, who wants to fight for the race winner here on Saturday in the first race of Formula 4 CEZ here on Salzburgring. And look at the battle for the first place. Max Karhan is trying to go from the outside around Gino Trappa. Nice battle between the two teammates for the first place here on Salzburgring. Max Karhan still going from the outside, and he's trying to go around Gino Trappa. And this time it is the inside line for Karhan. So great job done by the Czech driver, who is the new race leader now. Yes, Max Karhan overtook Gino Trappa, so we do have a new race leader here. Great driving by Max Karhan. Gino Trappa behind him in P2, Nicolas Cortez in P3, Javier Herrera in P4. But nothing has been decided yet. More than 20 minutes to go, and we also have the Hungarian driver Bennett Gaspar closely behind Javier Herrera. So there is a chance for the other drivers for joining the party up in the front. And we have a nice battle between Gaspar and David Walter. It's a fight for the 5th place. David Walter, of course, representing the Swiss squad Mafia Racing, and you can see the two white cars going side by side in the middle sector of the racetrack. Great attempt by David Walter, who wants to take the 5th place away from the Hungarian Bennett Gaspar. And of course there is a strong motivation for the Danish driver David Walter, because he is in 2nd place in the championship standings at the moment. But after the 2 race weekends, there is a huge gap between Gino Trappa and David Walter, because Trappa has 116 points to his name. On the other hand, David Walter in 2nd place has 75 points. So the Danish driver can't afford losing any more points in the title fight. As I said, we are reaching the halfway of the season here on Salzburgring, so every race will be crucial now, and David Walter knows that very well. So that's the reason why is he trying to overtake Bennett Gaspar, and he has not been successful yet. He is still in a P6 at the moment, behind the Hungarian, and behind David Walter it's another Mafia Racing driver, Andreas Lobue, rookie in the championship and the best rookie of the 2nd race weekend on Red Bull Ring. And now maybe Lobue takes the chance. Yes, Andreas Lobue is going for the inside line, and he overtakes Walter. So the Swiss driver, the newcomer to the series, takes the 6th place at the moment. And no, I believe this is Walter going off the track. Huge drama in the first race of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship here on Salzburgring. I believe it was the Danish driver David Walter who made a mistake, or not. No, it was the Hungarian Bennett Gaspar. So I do apologize for my mistake, but yes, we saw two white cars fighting each other, and at the first moment I believed it was David Walter who went off the track, but it was the Hungarian Bennett Gaspar who went off into the gravel zone, and he enters the pit lane. So it's a disaster for Bennett Gaspar, who is most likely retiring his car now. So that means David Walter is in P5 now, Andreas Lobue in P6, and behind Lobue it's another Czech driver, David Gorčica in P7. Then we have Hade Mimasi in P8, Simon Schranz racing for Křenek Motorsport in P9, and another Czech driver, Theodor Borenstein, is closing the top 10 at the moment. 16 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first race of the weekend. Max Karhan still leading the way, and it's a dominant performance of Jensen Motorsport. It's almost like a team showcase here. Two black and blue cars on the main straight following each other, and there is a decent gap already between Javier Herrera in P4 and David Walter in P5. Over 3 seconds between 4th and 5th place now. Not a good news for David Walter. Of course, he was slowing down by the fight against, or in the fight against Bennett Gaspar, who eventually went off the track and entered the pit lane. I can see on the live timing that Bennett Gaspar is back on the track, but of course there is a huge gap between him and the rest of the field. Bennett Gaspar is being 1 lap down, so it's a disaster for the Hungarian driver. Bennett Gaspar was definitely chasing some points here today, but he will have to wait for another chance tomorrow in second or in the third and final race of the weekend. On the main straight again, with 15 minutes to go, so 10 minutes from the race are away, and Max Karhan is still doing great job. Last time around, Max Karhan was the fastest driver out of the leading squad. 1:22.5 for Max Karhan, 1:22.6 for Gino Trappa, and we have 0.6 of a second between Max Karhan and Gino Trappa. So the Czech driver is gaining the advantage over Trappa. Good job by the Czech driver, who is at the moment in the B3 in the championship standings with 67 points to his name. And this is a great chance for Max Karhan to be on the podium for the second time this season, and also great chance for being on the podium for the second time in a row, because Max Karhan closed the last race weekend on Red Bull Ring with finishing in P3, and right now we have him in a following race currently in P1. So it's a great progress by Max Karhan, the Czech driver. Was within the top 10 in the final results each time out from the first 6 races of the season. During the first weekend on Red Bull Ring, he finished in P6, P5 and P4, and then when the series came back to Styria, he finished in P4, P5 and, as I said, in P3. So it's been a good season for Max Karhan so far. Very consistent performances from the Czech driver, who is fighting for his first win of the season here on Salzburgring. And of course, Max Karhan knows the track very well from the last year. he was also in the championship fight ahead of the first race of the 2024 season final here on Salzburgring, and he took 3 podium finishes here last year, so I believe this must be a favorite place for Max Karhan, who was in P3 twice here last year, and he closed the season with P2, so it can be even better for Max Karhan this time, who is still leading the race and eventually fighting for his first win here on Salzburgring. So it's Karhan leading the way, setting the fastest lap of the race last time around, 1:22.3. And the gap between him and Trappa is almost 1 second wide. Good job by Karhan. Trappa in P2, Nicolas Cortes in P3, and Javier Herrera in P4. So still top 4 places occupied by Jensen Motorsport drivers only. Behind Herrera, it's David Walter in P5, and the Swiss newcomer racing for Mafia Racing, Andreas Lobue in P6. David Gorczyca behind him in P7. The local driver, the local hero, Simon Schranz, actually racing also for the Austrian team, Jensen Motorsport, in P8 now. Hadi Mimasi in P9 and Theodor Borestein in P10. So these are the points scoring drivers now. But look how close it is here between Walter and Lobue. Andreas Lobue is trying to find his way ahead of his teammate, and possibly he can be successful here, because there is almost no gap between Walter and Lobue, and he will be trying his best to gain the position. So let's follow this battle for the 5th place now. It is almost a side-by-side battle for the 5th place, and Lobue is being quicker at the moment with 10 minutes to go. Also, we can't forget that also David Gorczyca is in the fight, and oh no, Gorczyca goes off the track. Oh no, what a disaster for the Czech driver racing for the Czech team Křenek Motorsport. He goes off the track in the final sector of the Salzburgring circuit, and I believe there was a contact between David Gorczyca and Andreas Lobue. Broken suspension here. It's a broken suspension. Right front broken suspension, and the driver climbs out of the car. David Gorczyca is being okay. That's the most important news, but at the same moment, at the same time, I believe he will be furious, because it has been really, really good race for David Gorczyca, but there will be no points for the Czech driver. What a shame, and I mean, again, this is very bad day for Křenek Motorsport in general. We have safety car on the track, but I must say, yes, this is a very bad day for Křenek Motorsport in general, because as we could see in TCR race, there were both cars of Křenek Motorsport involved in on-track incidents, and now the best placed Křenek Motorsport car is out of the race, and what a shame for David Gorczyca. Front right suspension broken, and this is the end, and there will be much work for the mechanics to make the car ready for tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow on Sunday we have another 2 races, and yeah, it will be the second chance for Gorczyca, but anyway, the disappointment here is huge. He was racing for the 5th place and that will be amazing for a young Czech driver. David Gorčica scored his first points in Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship this season last weekend on Red Bull Ring, where he finished in P8 in the second race. This time it could have been much better for Gorčica. Realistically, he was fighting for 5th place, but this is very unfortunate end for the Czech driver. Here he is, disappointed, David Gorčica, and he can't believe what just happened. And yeah, the cause of the collision or cause of the crash was the contact between him and Andreas Lebue. Maybe Andreas Lebue was just too aggressive when he was trying to cover his place, and he just pushed the Czech driver out of the track in the final sector of the racetrack. He left no space from what I could see. There was no space for David Gorčica. He was just trying to attack the Swiss driver from the outside, but he has not been given the chance. A bit unfair against David Gorčica, but sometimes that's racing. You have to take it like it is and be focused on the next race, which will be tomorrow. So as I said, 2 more races for David Gorčica and also for Andreas Lebue tomorrow. So there will be more chances for scoring points and scoring good results here on Salzburgring. So just as it was in TCR race, we have the BMW safety car leading the way, leading the field with 5 minutes to go. And it's not the best news for Max Karhan, because before the safety car went out, there was 1 second between him and Gino Trappa in the second place. So I believe that Max Karhan is not happy about the safety car being on the track ahead of him, but he needs to be focused, and he needs to get ready for the final restart, or most likely the final restart of the race. He needs to put his tires into the temperature, into the right working window, and he needs to get ready, because the safety car will enter the pit lane at the end of this lap. So we will be racing again shortly with approximately 4 minutes to go. Safety car driver already switched off the lights and he picked up the pace. So safety car will be entering the pit lanes in a few moments, and we can see the field getting ready for the race restart. We have the green flags again, and Max Karhan is picking up the pace. He wants to keep his first place, of course, and this was really good restart by Max Karhan. He did not underestimate Gino Trappa, but Gino Trappa is closely behind him and he's trying to find his way ahead, but not this time. Good defensive job done by Max Karhan, who is still in the lead of the race with 3 minutes to go, but this will be hard. This will be difficult for Max Karhan as Gino Trappa gets closer behind him. The safety car was a good news for the Argentinian championship leader, because now again he has the chance to fight for the victory in the first race here in Salzburgring. And I believe he still has 2.5 laps to go. So plenty of opportunities for Gino Trappa, who is trying to find a way through the inside, but not this time. Max Karhan closed the door. So there was no room, there was no space for Gino Trappa on the inside line. But here we are again on the main straight. This time there is a decent gap between Karhan and Trappa, so maybe the slipstream won't be so effective for Trappa. And yes, that's the truth. This time Max Karhan goes safely through the first chicane. And he shouldn't, or he rather shouldn't be so aggressive on the curb in the first chicane, because it slows him down. But this time, as I said, there was a decent gap between him and Trappa, so for now it's a safe position for the Czech driver, still leading the race, still fighting for his first victory of the season. It can be a huge success for Max Karhan, who dreams about being in Formula 3 in the future. But of course that's also the matter of budget, and for example, if he wants to get a good sponsor for his future career, he needs to be really good in Formula 4. Of course, taking the championship title would be the best thing for Max Karhan, but well, the season is in the halfway, but still will be long, and still Gino Trappa is the championship leader, so we have to wait and see how it goes in the future. But anyway, this time around, Max Karhan still in the lead with almost 0.6 of a second between him and his Argentinian teammate in the second place. 20 seconds to go, so this should be the last lap of the race. I believe we are in the last lap of the race, so maybe there will be a last chance for Gino Trappa if he wants to try to overtake the race leader and also his teammate Max Karhan. But he's not close enough to try to attack Karhan, and Karhan is keeping the optimal racing line, and he is in the final sector of the racetrack here on Salzburgring, and this can be a great Czech victory here in Austria. Here we are on the main straight again, and we are waiting for the checkered flag. Yes, here it is, and Max Karhan is the race winner. Max Karhan wins the first race of the Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship here on Salzburgring. What a great performance for Max Karhan. Absolutely commanding drive here in Austria, and he wins the race from the second place on the grid, which means he was better than his biggest rival and his teammate Gino Trappa, who takes the second place today. Of course, Gino Trappa will be still leading the championship, but anyway, this was a great showcase of driving skills presented by Max Karhan, who wins the race with the advantage of 0.5 of a second over Gino Trappa. Nicolas Cortez in P3. It is 1-2-3 finish for Jenser Motorsport, with another Jenser Motorsport driver finishing the race in P4, and that's Javier Herrera. So it is Max Karhan winning the race for the Czech Republic. Second place for Gino Trappa from Argentina, and then we have two Mexican drivers also racing for Jenser Motorsport, Nicolas Cortez and Javier Herrera. Behind Herrera, it is Andreas Lobue, the championship newcomer, finishing the race in P5. And behind Lobue, good race for Simon Schranz, the local driver racing for local team Renauer Motorsport. Really good performance, really good result for Simon Schranz, finishing in P6. Hadi Mimasi from Canada finishing in P7, P8 for David Walter. Not a good race for the Danish driver, who is trying to chase down the championship leader Gino Trappa. P9 for Matilda Patz and P10 for Czech driver Theodor Borenstein. Then it is Michalina Sabaj in P11, František Němec in P12, Bennett Gaspar after going off the track finishing the race in P13, Nikolaj Dilvet in P14 and Chiara Henne in P15. Only David Gorčica was forced to retire from this race. So we had 15 drivers crossing the finish line at the end of the first race of Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship here on Salzburgring. So it was another great showcase of great racing in Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship. So this was the first race here on Salzburgring, and again very close battles between the drivers. Of course, it's also due to the fact that all the drivers have same car, same chassis, Tatus T421. All the drivers have the same engine, so it's a proper junior racing series. And it's the place to be for young, fierce and dedicated talents. And I believe again it will be the great fight for the championship title again. I remember last year we were fighting, or we were watching the championship title fight to the very last race of the season. At the end of 2024 season, it was Oscar Wurz who was crowned as a third champion in the history of Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship. Before him, it was the Swiss driver Ethan Ischer in 2023. And unofficially, we also have the 2022 champion, the Hungarian driver Zeno Kovac. I said unofficially because it was the Formula 4 trophy. So it wasn't officially the Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship yet, but starting in 2023 we have this competitive championship here for the Middle European region, and I believe it's a great place to be for all the young drivers from the region, from the Czech Republic, Austria, Germany, Poland and other Central European countries. And also, of course, a lot of Swiss drivers competing in this championship historically. So if there is a young and quick go-karting driver in the Central European region, I believe his aim should be to enter this championship after his go-karting career and make another progress on his way possibly to Formula 3 or Formula 2. So it's really, really good to have such a platform, such a championship like the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone is. It's very unique here, isn't it? I mean, the Salzburgring, it's a circuit like no other. They are racing in this narrow alpine valley under the mighty rock, which you can see at the end of the main straight. We are only 12 kilometers away from Salzburg, from beautiful, famous Austrian city. But still, if you are going to Salzburg on the highway from Linz, for example, you can't notice that there is a hidden racing track. So if you are passing around Monza, make sure you make a stop here, because it's really worth it, believe me. So the drivers are getting ready for the podium ceremony. So we will be celebrating our top 3 drivers of the first race shortly. And already I can't be more excited for Sunday. Another 2 races ahead of us, and also for all the Czech fans, this was quite a promising race, because Max Karhan did amazing job. He won the race from the 2nd place on the grid, and as I mentioned previously, from Salzburgring we move on to the Czech Republic, and the next round will be on Most circuit at the end of July. So it's also great invitation for all the Czech fans to Most, because Max Karhan will be there and he will be racing for another victory. I believe it. It's a track he knows very well, so it's the advantage for the Czech driver. Then the season moves on to Slovakia, and the big final will be in Brno, again in the Czech Republic. It would be really cool if there is a Czech driver fighting for the title to the very last place on the Czech ground. But we have to wait and see what the future holds for us. And there we can see the top 3 Jensen Motorsport drivers chatting to each other. Max Karhan on the left hand side with his long hair coming out of the cap. So this time it will be his day, and for the 2nd time today we're gonna hear the Czech national anthem, because if you watched the previous race of the TCR Eastern Europe, then you know the race winner was Martin Kadlecik, so that was the first Czech national anthem here on Salzburgring today, and in a few moments we're gonna hear it for the 2nd time again, which is quite good for the Czech fans. But I believe that not only Gino Trappa will be highly motivated for tomorrow to bounce back and to beat the Czech guy and be the best, crossing the finish line in the first place. But let's wait and see how the Sunday will go on tomorrow. Again, I must say, great crowd here on Salzburgring. It's a big motorsport racing festival here this weekend, with a lot of categories on the track, including historic racing. Not only the historic touring cars and sports cars, but also historic motorbikes. And we also had some really rare vehicles on the track today, so Salzburgring this weekend, that's the place to be. I can see Mr. Jiří Křenek getting ready for the podium ceremony, so the chief of the promoters team will be awarding the trophies for the top 3 drivers in a few moments. And you can also see the racing ladies getting ready behind the podium. That's because we are also celebrating the best female drivers after each race. But we're gonna watch the overall podium in a few moments. It's been a great season so far for Gino Trappa. 6 times on a podium from the first 7 races. What a performance. 3 times second during the first weekend on Red Bull Ring, then 2 victories plus 4th place during the second weekend on Red Bull Ring, and now starting the 3rd race weekend of the season with 2nd place on Salzburgring. Max Karhan is taking 25 points, which means he has 92 to his name now after the first race. So I believe Max Karhan will be in the 2nd place in the championship standings before tomorrow's race number 2, because David Walter finished today in P8, and that means he takes only 4 points, so he has 79. I'm sorry, yes, he has 79. And Max Karhan had 67 before the race. He won, so he took 25. 67 plus 25, if I'm correct. That must be 92, yes. So Max Karhan climbs up to the 2nd place in the championship standings. Good news for the Czech driver. Gino Trappa this time taking the 2nd place, which means he takes 18 points. So he has 134 at the moment. So it's 134 points for the championship leader Gino Trappa and 92 points for Max Karhan, who is in the 2nd place in the championship after the first race here on Salzburgring. So good news for Max Karhan. The victory pays off definitely. And I can hear the local speaker, which means we are ready for the podium ceremony. So here he comes, the driver finishing in P3, Nicolas Cortes. Then here we have Gino Trappa, the Argentinian championship leader. And now we welcome the winning driver from the Czech Republic, Max Karhan. Top 3 drivers representing Janse Motorsport. So we also have the Janse Motorsport team representative on the podium. Oh, not so soon with the champagne, Max. Wait after the anthem and the trophies. A bit of Lando Norris stuff, I would say. But now we have the Czech national anthem. What's going on with those champagne battles? Another one has been opened too soon. The one that belongs to Gino Trappa, but who cares anyway? It's a great moment of joy for the top 3 drivers. The trophies are being presented by Mr. Křenek again. And look at the joy shown by Max Karhan. And this time it's the time for the champagne. The proper time for the champagne, I must say. So those were our top 3 drivers after the first race of the FIA Formula 4 Central European Zone Championship here on Salzburgring. Time for the official picture. And tomorrow it will be another battle, another chance, another 2 races of FIA CEZ Formula 4 here on Salzburgring. So this is all for today. Thank you very much for joining us and see you tomorrow.
The green flag is now in the air, signaling that everything is ready for the starting procedure to begin. He surprised everybody and he goes into the race lead. Fantastic start.